Everybody thought he was just a lowly F-ranked adventurer. But he stumbled upon a damn golden servant card that summons a badass SS-ranked goddess. And with her help, he's about to become the strongest of them all. Kai, this young dude, decides he's gonna be an adventurer, chasing that gold and glory. But damn luck ain't been on his side. He has been hustling his ass off every damn day for the past 2 years. But he is still stuck on the damn first floor of the dungeon. Just like any other day, Kai heads to the caves, moving slow as hell towards a slime on the ground. But instead of grabbing a sword or a knife like the regular folks, he whips out some insecticide and straight up sprays 2 bottles at that slime, watching it wither away and die. He is feeling pumped about how damn good he got at slaying the slimes. Ain't no surprise though, because this here is his 999th slime kill. Dude has been grinding in the dungeons like an NPC, swearing to hit that 1000 slimes mark. Kai keeps pushing deeper into that dungeon, when all of a sudden, he spots a golden slime chilling on a pillar. He getting all hyped about his luck finding such a rare spawn for his 1000th kill. But damn, this one ain't gonna be a piece of cake. As he tries to spray it with his bottle, that slime straight up jumps off the pillar, like it ain't no big deal. But Kai ain't letting that discourage him. So he grabs a new powerful spray gun filled with pesticide and blasts that slime, taking it down for good. He's celebrating his damn 1000th kill. Feeling like a champ, he can't wait to check his stats, thinking he is about to level up big time. But his level ain't changed, even though he just wasted a golden slime. He decides to brush it off, hoping at least for some dope loot. But instead of a regular monocore, he finds this little golden card with a girl drawn on it. At first he all confused, but soon enough he figures it out. This here be a servant card, some super rare item. He checks out the stats and learns that this servant is a Valkyrie named Sylphie. And he even tries to search her on Instagram, but damn, there ain't no info about her online. Kai decides to bounce out of that dungeon first. Before doing any more research, he starts heading back, and as he passing by, he sees this crew of adventurers walking past him, wearing some sick-ass armor, which Kai can only look at with jealousy. He wonders whether he would ever be able to buy such a thing, and heads over to the reception to get money in exchange for the slime cores. The receptionist Hitsugeya hooks my dude Kai up with 500 yen per slime core, so he ends up with a solid 1500 yen in total. It's a bit of a letdown, but Kai takes it and starts bouncing. But he suddenly stops and asks Hitsugeya if she knows the value of a rare servant card, especially if it's from the divine class. Hitsugeya takes a minute to think and straight up claims that a card like that would be hella collectible, worth over 1 billion yen without breaking a sweat. Kai's mind is blown, but he keeps his trap shut, heads back to his locker, tosses his stuff in there, changes into his regular clothes, and dips out of the place. Turns out, that dungeon is part of some amusement park joint, where folks can get memberships and go in to hunt for valuable shit. We then see little kids walking around in costumes, talking about how they gonna be explorers when they grow up. But Kai was lost in his own thoughts, still tripping on that damn card. Then while he is waiting for the train, he bumps into his 2 homies Shinji and Hayato, and they all hop on that train together. Kai tells them he is still stuck at level 3, and asks why the hell they ain't exploring dungeons. Hayato comes back with a reply, saying that 2 years ago, when they just started exploring the dungeons, they hit the 2nd floor and ran into a goblin. They thought they could take that sucker down easy, but that goblin straight up whooped all their asses on his own. Ever since then, both Shinji and Hayato decided dungeons ain't their thing, and they happier checking out the other attractions with their passes. Later that night, Kai gets off the train and starts walking back home. He has dinner with his family, takes a bath, and crashes out. The next morning, he's still wondering if he should sell that card or not, as 1 billion yen can get him all the armor he wants, and he can buy as many video games as he wants. But then he gets interrupted by a voice, and it's his girl Katsu, asking where he was last night. My man decides to straight up lie and claims he was at a party with Shinji and Hayato. But shit, both of them spot Kai and roll up on him. Kai quickly pulls them aside and begs them not to spill to Katsu about him going dungeon crawling yesterday, and they agree to keep it on the down low. But when Katsu asks them what they did at the party, they end up saying different shit like playing arcade games, doing karaoke, and going bowling. Katsu ain't no fool though. He peeped the lies and asks if Kai hit the dungeons once again. But my dude manages to lie through his teeth and barely escapes the heat. Later that day in school, my dude Kai hits up his friends and asks what they would do with a servant card. No hesitation, they straight up say they'd sell that shit because it's worth a lot. And you can't summon a servant outside the dungeons anyways. Kai starts thinking about whether he should cash in on the item, But when he heads to the dungeons later, he decides to keep it for himself. Homeboy wants to become one of the topest adventurers the world has ever seen. He lays low, making sure no cameras catch him, and whips out the card. He calls out Sylphie the Valkyrie to be his servant, ready to follow his every command. Then all of a sudden, that card starts glowing and a bright-ass light shoots out of it. Next thing you know, it transforms into a massive woman with wings on her back and 2 melons up front. She's on some otherworldly shit as she grabs Kai and straight up disappears. Kai's dumbfounded, trying to figure out what the hell just went down. Then he turns around and sees a little lowly in armor standing right next to him. He asks who she is, and wonders if any kids got lost here. But this mini girl hits him back, saying she's the Valkyrie Sylphie, his servant from now on. All of Kai's dreams of being a badass adventurer shatter in an instant. He drops to the floor, regretting the fact that he didn't sell that damn card. But he pulls himself together and gets back up. He tells Sylphie they gotta hunt some slimes. She immediately claims that she can sense one nearby. So Kai decides to test her intuition and tells her to lead him to the monster. Sylphie easily finds the slime, so Kai asks if she can kill it for him. She's down as hell and steps out into the open. Kai didn't expect much from this little girl, but damn, Sylphie conjures this lightning attack so powerful that for a hot second, Kai thinks the whole damn cave's gonna collapse. Kai walks up to her, asking if she's good, but she starts blushing and admits she's hungry as hell, needing some food. Kai looks at her and remembers that servants eat manacores, so he feeds her the manacore from the slime. And she gives him some thanks before saying there's more slimes nearby. He asks if she's got her strength back, and she nods ready to roll out. But hold up, Kai stops her and asks if she can only detect slimes. Sylphie straight up claims she can sense all kinds of monsters, not just slimes. But after every battle, she gets hungry and needs to chow down on a manacore. Kai does the math and realizes this slime hunting gig ain't gonna cut it. He won't be raking in any cash like this. So he comes up with a plan and tells Sylphie to track down the slimes for him, and she's all down for it. Then he goes ham with his spray bottles, taking those slimes out one by one. It's the smartest move because finding those slimes is a pain in the ass. But this way, he can cut straight to the chase and blast them with his cheap insecticide sprays. After taking out a bunch of them, he levels up to level 4 and unlocks a new passive skill called Slime Slayer. That shit gives him a 50% boost in stats when he's fighting against slimes. He seems kinda let down by his new skill, but Sylphie boosts his morale, saying that getting a skill is an achievement in itself. He looks at her, smiles, and thanks her for the help. Then he says that he will be returning home now as it's getting late. Sylphie looks at him and asks if he'll summon her again soon, and he promises to summon her as soon as possible. So he recalls her back into the servant card and starts making his way back. He stops by the reception to sell the manacores, and Hitsugeya is straight up shocked as she claims that he beat the daily slime extermination record by a large margin and asks how he did it. Kai plays it cool and lies, saying it was all luck. He snags his 15,000 yen reward and bounces home. Later that night, he's thinking about moving on to the second level of the dungeon. Goblins might be scary, but he's confident that with Sylphie by his side, they don't stand a chance. He has this dream about when he was a kid, watching TV with his girl Katsu. They were watching an interview about Katsu's dad, the most famous adventurer. That interview fills Kai with awe, and he decides right then and there to follow in his footsteps and become an adventurer himself. The next morning, he wakes up with a newfound determination and confidence. He gears up with Sylphie by his side and the sword and shield he bought with his hard-earned money. He's got his mind set on clearing every damn dungeon and becoming the most legendary adventurer in the whole damn world. They step into the cave and start walking when Sylphie peeps that something ain't right. She asks Kai if he good because dude looking pale as a ghost and shaking like crazy. Kai is straight up scared of this cave but lies to Sylphie, talking about how he is just hella excited. But the moment Sylphie mentions she can sense a goblin nearby, Kai flips the switch and starts hauling ass. Sylphie is confused as hell, asking what the hell he doing, but Kai lies straight to her face, saying he has some urgent business back home. Then it hits him. He remembers Katsu's pops doing an interview on TV. He realizes he can't just give up on his dreams like that. So he grabs his wooden sword and tells Sylphie to lead the way. They find the goblin snoozing behind a massive rock, but Kai is too scared to do shit. He asks Sylphie if she can handle killing it. She's down as hell and steps up to cast her spell. The goblin wakes up, ready to throw hands, but Kai jumps in between them with his sword in his hand and tells Sylphie he changed his mind, but he tells her to be ready to back him up. Kai charges at the goblin, swinging his sword, but he misses and the goblin backs off. This time, the goblin comes at him, trying to knock him to the ground. But Kai blocks the hit with his shield at the last second. They go back and forth, struggling it out. But Kai starts gaining ground. He shoves the goblin away, and it falls to the ground. Kai sees his chance and goes in for the kill with his sword. But damn, the goblin blocks the strike, grabs the sword, and disarms Kai. Then that goblin jumps at him, ready to end it all. Kai falls back without any defenses, but he remembers he got the sprays. He whips them out real quick and sprays that shit in the goblin's eyes. The goblin gets blinded by it, and that's when Kai takes the opportunity to land the final blow. He grabs his sword, rushing at the goblin, but damn, he trips over a damn rock and falls to the floor, accidentally stabbing that goblin right in the chest, taking it out instantly. Sylphie is all happy, congratulating Kai. But my dude is still scared as hell. He grabs the mana crystal, feeling thankful to be alive. Suddenly, a golden glow surrounds him, and he realizes he leveled up once again. He checks his stats, and he got a new skill called the Goblin Slayer. He got mixed feelings about that shitty skill, but he decides a skill is a skill, and keeps it moving. They are going deeper into the damn cave when another goblin straight up attacks them. But Sylphie is holding it down with her defensive barrier, blocking all the attacks like a boss, while Kai is slicing that monster with perfect timing and taking it out. Kai then goes and kills his third goblin by blinding it with that spray bottle once again, then finishing it off. While Sylphie is dragging his ass to face another goblin, Kai kills that goblin too with a head strike, and in the process he ranks up to level 6. They keep on walking, and Kai asks Sylphie if she knows anything about these dungeons, but Sylphie replies that she has no idea, and all she knows is that her sole purpose is to help her master. They keep moving deeper, and they find the final goblin of the day. That sucker attacks Kai, but Sylphie unleashes her lightning magic and straight up destroys that beast. Kai feeds her the mana core, and they bounce outside. Kai hands over the mana crystals to Hitsugaya. Once again, he lying his ass off, saying it was all just a fluke. Then he heads back home, and damn, his body is so damn sore, he can't even move from his bed. Next morning, he dragging his lazy ass to school with Katsu. Katsu peeping the situation, knowing Kai must have hit the dungeons, but Kai straight up denies it, claiming he was just doing some gym bodybuilding. Katsu let it slide, and they keep on walking. They finally make it to their classroom, and Kai starts spilling to Shinji and Hayato about his new adventures in the level 2 dungeons. He tells them how he straight up killed 4 goblins. They are damn surprised, having a hard time believing Kai ain't talking smack, but he promises them he ain't lying and says he going even deeper today. After school, he heads back to the dungeons with Sylphie. They start exploring the distant parts of the cave, taking out goblins with some sick teamwork, Sylphie blocking the attacks while Kai lands the killing blow. And when Kai gets tired, Sylphie steps up and finishes off the monsters with her lightning magic. After that adventure, Kai sleeps like a log at night. The next day, he upgrades to a metal rod, dealing some serious damage to the goblins. But he is so damn exhausted that he ends up snoozing even in the classroom. But that ain't stopping him from his adventures. He is hitting the dungeon day after day, taking out goblins by any means necessary till he hits level 10, which is a major milestone for him. This time he unlocks a special skill called Divine Love, boosting his stats with every level up. The power of that boost be depending on how much love and care the divine goddess is showing him. So he decides he gotta confess how stoked he is to be adventuring with someone as cool as Sylphie. But damn, this poor loli doesn't even know what kind of psycho manipulator this guy is. So she just happily thanks him for being there and loves working with him. After that, the next monster they run into is a glowing skeleton, something they ain't faced before. Kai tells Sylphie to stay alert, and she throws up her magic barrier as the skeletons come rushing at them. The skeleton is slamming against that barrier, trying to break through. But before he can do that, Kai decides to attack. But damn, his attack is doing nothing because his weapons ain't strong enough for this rare spawn. So he asks Sylphie to handle it, and she starts chanting her spell and blasts that skeleton with a lightning bolt, killing it instantly. This time the mana core that drops is bright red. Kai is wondering if it is rare, but he feeds it to Sylphie anyway, and she claims it is tastier than usual. Later that day, when he takes his loot to Hitsugaya, he asks about the mana core from that glowing skeleton. She tells him it is a pretty rare drop and could fetch around 2 million yen, so Kai is crushed. He coulda have been a millionaire, but Sylphie done ate his money. Hitsugaya tells him not to worry though, because if he encountered it once, there's a good chance he'll come across it again. That night, he is thinking about the money he lost, but he decides it doesn't matter because he still leveled up like crazy. He starts wondering if he can move on to the 3rd floor now, but he knows on that floor, the enemies come in groups and can be way more dangerous. So he decides to keep that in mind and stay prepared. The next day, he tells Sylphie that he wants her to just watch for a while without doing anything else. She gets scared, thinking she did something wrong, and apologizes. But Kai explains that he wants to go to the 3rd floor, but he's scared he'll rely too much on her to save his ass. So he wants to get stronger first. Sylphie seems relieved and wishes him good luck. And then out of nowhere, a damn goblin pops up from behind a rock. Kai confidently tells Sylphie to watch from the back as he handles it, but the plan backfires big time, and he ends up getting messed up real bad. He gotta buy potions from Hitsugeya, and that blows away all his damn savings. That night, he thinks about how he needs a bunch of mana cores to feed Sylphie and get better gear, so he decides to start from scratch and heads back to the 1st floor to kill as many slimes as possible, gaining skills, levels, and mana cores. After hustling his ass off in the dungeons alone for several days, he finally collects enough mana cores to feel confident moving on to the 3rd floor. But before they can leave the cave, Sylphie says she can sense a different kind of slime. And damn, she is right, because Kai spots a silver slime nearby. He jumps into action, rushing that slime with his spray gun, but that sucker is fast and dodges away. But luckily Sylphie is right there ready to go. She unleashes her lightning magic and straight up kills that slime. And here's the crazy part. That slime drops another servant card, and that is some insane luck. Kai picks up the card and sees it's a demon rank card for a servant named Luceria. He looks at Sylphie, and she looking upset, which makes him realize that demons and goddesses don't mix well. But even with that, he decides to follow his own desires, and without even talking to Sylphie about it. He summons the demon servant right then and there. A huge red flame surrounds them, and a massive demon lady emerges, flying straight through Kai in her ethereal form. Just like what happened with Sylphie, he looks down and sees another lowly. But this time she got bat wings and horns on her head, and he realizes with a demon and a goddess on his side, his party gonna be unstoppable. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to not miss the next part.